Okay. Hello, Skater G here, and today I'm doing a part 3 to the sound videos that I had previously posted here on YouTube, and I thought a part 3 would be helpful because I've shown kind of two parts of the process, one that's like before the editing and then one that is the editing of the sound, so I thought I'd put them together so that we see there's a bigger picture with it. So yeah, this is going to be kind of the full process from start to finish. I'll go into a little more details about things, and yeah. So to start off with is kind of the setup. I have a very small setup right now because I don't have a lot of room. I don't really have a professional studio. I've kind of made my own little studio with the equipment in that transportable so that I can take it with me wherever I'm at. So as you can see here, kind of towards the end of the screen, I have my mic. I already have all set up to go. I got it attached to its mic stand, which I'm using my Dex angled one to give me a little bit of an angle. And that gets into a good position for close miking, which is the technique I use the most often, which is when you're within 3 to 5 inches of the microphone. And I have it connected up to my Spire Studio, which you'll see up in the app on the little screen over here. This is the app on Android. I don't have an iPhone, so it might look slightly different from the one that you might have or from what they generally advertise. But it works really, really well and I love it. So I have that hooked through with my cable. I have my phantom power on. So that tells me that my mic will work. And I've already done a sound check on here. There's a little sound check button, and that just gets my levels. Usually we try to do, when you do sound and you do a sound check, you usually want to get the quietest you'll be and the loudest you'll be, the highest you'll be and the lowest you'll be, just to get the different ranges and to pick an appropriate level that will get most things. And I do have my headphones with me that I usually connect up later to check stuff. And we're already in a new song. That's already here. There are a few other things that I do use when recording my songs. Like I will usually have my instruments. My songs are all original. And I do all of the writing, producing, the instrument playing, everything. I do it all, basically. So sometimes I'll have like my guitar stand in a corner with my electric guitar, and the mic will be like up somewhere where I'm gonna be more of singing, and I'll have my amps in another corner and with the mic close to them as well, so they can get that. Now, if I have my acoustic guitar and it's an acoustic song, I actually do more of the room mic technique, which is where you're further away than close miking. So it more of captures the room sound, gives you a lot more ambience in it, and I find with my acoustic guitar that works quite well because I really like how the sound will bounce off the walls in that, and how that translates into the sound that I record. It gives me a nice ambient sound that I like. So for sound absorption, usually a lot of people will have some kind of foam panels that they'll put up around. I don't have that option. I'm in my closet is where I'm at, so I have clothes that act as my sound absorption, and I find it works quite well to do that. A closet can be a studio. It's very true. It can be a good place to start too. I can, on my Spare Studio, when I'm ready to be done, I can play back with just a click of a button, and then it'll play back through my headphones, and I can decide, do I like the sound, do I not, do I want to re-record it? Sometimes I decide to re-record it because I didn't quite like what it got. It can also do multiple tracks as well, so I can have my vocals, my guitar, my drums, everything set up. And I can put a few effects on there. And I can also mix it a little bit. I'll show that on here. If you see this with the mixing, I can usually, once it's done, I can usually drag it back and I can create it wide, or I can mute it. The edit tab usually has where all the tracks are, and it also has more so the levels. So that's all there. And then I'm gonna quickly get Waveform set up and going, and we'll continue there, because recording and then editing are kind of two processes within the same thing type of thing. So it's one process altogether to create a song or to create a podcast or something, whatever project you're creating, but it kind of takes two different things. Okay, now that we've got that, so once I have the sound and the tracks, this is when I take it over to Waveform, which is my DAW, my digital audio workstation. I usually, one of my first things, I go into settings, I go to this audio device, and I check to make sure the output and the input are what I've done. And I can check anything else here. So I can check my MIDI devices, which I don't have any hooked up today. So I don't have to worry about that. I can change any keyboard shortcuts that I want if I so choose, or if that's what I want. I can check my plugins, like if I'm uploading a new plugin because I found a new cool sound that I want to use, that will show up here. So once we do that, we can come back to the welcome screen. We can do new project. We're gonna do one for this project, and we're gonna come over to podcast and do a podcast template, because this is just gonna be audio. It's not gonna be instrumental. So we're gonna name this sound part 3 vid, so that I know it's part of a video. Okay, now it's gonna open. This has example clips and sound. I'm gonna delete all of those because I don't really need them, and I make sure that I've gotten each track in each part, because otherwise it'll do ring with like a sound, and it's kind of funny, but that's like, no, I don't want that. Okay, so I've got everything there. I'm ready to import some sound. So we're gonna stop quickly, import the sound in, and then I'll probably add a second clip later that will have this second part. So I'll be back in a few moments. Okay, so now that we have our first track and our first part of the segment, like I said, I'll add a second one here. This tells you a lot of different information. There's a lot of things. And what I usually do is I will play it back. We'll do it from the beginning. make sure that's to 0 and see how loud it is. Okay, so we got pretty good sound, and it looks like those are probably some of the highest points on there. And it looks like the sound is pretty good because the bars on the side are green and yellow, which is what I want. And since I use this so much, I could come here and put the master mix on, and we can do a female broadcast. And it looks like we'll need that there. It looks like we might need to put the output left and right a little lower. And I can reset it right there. It still sounds pretty loud. So we're gonna turn down the input a little bit more. I'm gonna put that down a little further. That might be a bad thing, but sometimes I am quite loud when I talk into the mic, so that looks a lot better. I can also change this plugin, or I can get rid of it. I think I'm going to get rid of it. I usually don't use compression unless I feel like it. And we'll play for a little bit more. Okay, so that's pretty good for the equalizer right there. If you notice, I haven't really renamed these. Usually when I do podcasts, I usually don't. I usually just leave them because it's just me. But for others, I will rename it because I'm bringing multiple guitar tracks and bringing multiple drum tracks in. And naming is a really important thing. You can see over here has a BPM, beats per minute, a 4/4 signature, C major, and you can change that to a different time signature or a different BPM, whatever you need, or whatever feels the most comfortable for the song. And yeah, if I need any other plugins, I just come and grab this right here, and I can just go into whatever plugin I needed. I can mute, I can solo, and if I were doing singing, I would be bringing a Melodyne, which I have shown a tiny little bit before. I could bring in just a lot of different plugins and a lot of different things I use. And then once you have this, I can export. So if you go File, Save, you always want to save because if the program crashes or your computer crashes, then it's saved. And sometimes it happens with that. So I can go Export. I can change my sample rate, and usually I use 1644. There is 48 and others, but usually those are only used for films. Dithering is a really good thing to have because it'll add a little bit of air to it. And sometimes that helps with the tracks. You can do selected tracks, you can do each track to a separate file, you can normalize if you need something a little different from dithering. You can change it from stereo to mono, but usually you want stereo. And yeah, that's basically the whole process of my sound editing and processing and recording. And I hope you enjoyed this. And let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. And hope to see you in the next one.